Coming up now on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard are taking over NXT. Jon Moxley is ready for his match with Satoshi Kojima at All Out, and Kurt Angle talks having had previous negotiations with AEW. That and more is now on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown. This is just a reminder that we omit any news or information which could potentially spoil the results, angles, storylines, or surprise debuts taking place in professional wrestling. If you appreciate this type of wrestling coverage, please consider subscribing, clicking the notifications bell, and sharing this video with friends. And unfortunately, there's some really upsetting news to report in this video. Fans of Daphne Ungers, who you'll remember from WCW, where she was in a stable with Crowbar and David Flair. Unfortunately, fans of hers began to report that she had taken to Instagram live stream and posted a concerning video, and many people are now worried that she is a harm to herself. For instance, Mick Foley put out a tweet that said, "If anyone has a way of reaching Daphne Unger or knows her address, please help out. She's in a bad personal place and is threatening to harm herself. My phone call went straight to voicemail." This was last night, the most recent update that I've seen. TMZ reported at 10:25 this morning that they're still unable to reach Daphne. And so unfortunately, we don't have any more updates on Daphne's condition. There is concern for her well-being. If there are any updates that come out about Daphne today, we will add them to the show notes and post them on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we're all just hoping for the best for Daphne. Is more news to report today regarding the upcoming rebrand and refocusing of WWE's NXT brand. Brian Alvarez was on Wrestling Observer Live and said that his sources have told him that Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard are going to be playing a larger role with the show moving forward. Alvarez said, "It's going to be like the old NXT. I had heard from several people now that when they go back to live shows, this is going to be a McMahon-Prichard production." Now, Dave Meltzer also spoke about the changes coming to NXT on Wrestling Observer Radio, and he clarified what he's been told regarding Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard's involvement in the show moving forward. Meltzer said, "The story that Vince and Bruce would be executive producers, I was told, is not the case. But then again, I don't even know who knows what right now because everything's in transition. The big picture stuff, Vince and Bruce are taking over. The new logo, I heard it was Kevin Dunn, but it's from that side. The major stuff is going to be them, but they are not going to be producing every segment of the show, I don't think." Brian Alvarez later said that he heard Vince McMahon was going to be hands-on. Here is what Dave Meltzer said regarding Vince and Bruce taking over for some of the responsibilities Triple H used to have. Meltzer said, "Paul Levesque certainly has lost power. There's no doubt about that. And Vince and Bruce are going to be in charge of the big picture stuff. How detail-oriented they will be, that remains to be seen." So again, big changes coming to the NXT brand with Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard playing a larger role and Triple H playing a lesser role. Tony Khan announced a change to the AEW All Out lineup recently on Twitter. He announced that due to travel issues, Pac versus Andrade El Idolo will not take place on the pay-per-view, but instead will be postponed until a future episode of Rampage. As a result, the Women's Casino Battle Royale, which was originally booked for the buy-in, will now be featured on the main pay-per-view card. Andrade put out a response to this tweet saying, "I just wasted my time. It's like in boxing when they don't make weight. The fighter has to be fined a sum of money, or is he just not ready to face me and he wants more time?" So Pac versus Andrade El Idolo postponed to a future edition of Rampage, the Women's Casino Battle Royale, now on the main pay-per-view card. There are reports out right now that WrestleMania 38 will once again be a two-night event. This is according to Fightful. They are stating that their sources have told them that WrestleMania 38 will take place on April 2nd and April 3rd. If that turns out to be true, it would be the third time in 3 straight years that WrestleMania has been a two-night event. If you remember, in the spring of 2020, WrestleMania 36 was held on 2 nights at the WWE Performance Center. Then earlier this year, WrestleMania 37 was held over 2 nights from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, with Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair main eventing night 1, and Roman Reigns defending the Universal title against Edge and Daniel Bryan on night 2. So it looks like WrestleMania 38 could be 2 nights as well, and that might turn out to be the norm moving forward. The television ratings are in for this week's edition of NXT on Tuesday night, August 31st. The show brought in 717,000 viewers and a .17 in the key demographic. Up on your screen now is the last few weeks of NXT's ratings. This is courtesy of ITNWWE.com. You can see the total viewership is one of the best ratings NXT has gotten, aside from the August 10th rating in some time. So pretty good total viewership. The .17 is up from what they normally do slightly, although they have gotten a few .19s and .18s over this summer as well. The Dark Order's Anna Jay returned to AEW on Dynamite last night. She rescued Ty Conti from a 2-on-1 attack from Penelope Ford and the Bunny. Anna Jay has been out of action since January this year, since early January. The 23-year-old then underwent shoulder surgery in March, and it has been announced that both Anna Jay and Ty Conti will be in the Casino Battle Royale at All Out. Jon Moxley will face Satoshi Kojima coming up this weekend at All Out. Moxley spoke with Sports Illustrated about his upcoming opponent. Here is what he had to say. Mox said, "Kojima is here to be celebrated. With that being said, I'm still planning on committing egregious felonious assault and trying to end his career, and he'd be insulted if I felt any other way. It's an honor to share the ring with him, and I can't wait to throw with him. He still has gas left in the tank, and there's still something he wants to prove. He'll be staring across from the baddest mother effer in the business. I don't expect it to be long. I don't expect it to be pretty. It's going to be violent, and I can't wait to get in there with him." That's Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima this weekend at All Out. Angle was recently on the Wrestling Inc. podcast and spoke about having had negotiations with AEW and Tony Khan previously. Here is what Angle had to say. Angle said, "Yes, they offered me a couple of different contracts. I turned it down for personal reasons, but Tony Khan's been really nice to me, very generous, and I really appreciate his interest in having me there, but at this particular time, I can't do it." Angle continued to say what he was offered by AEW. He said, "The first offer, they wanted me to have many matches. The next offer, I think, was 3 matches, and then one was just an on-camera personality, no wrestling. But it sounds like Kurt Angle at this time is not interested in going to AEW, though they did have some negotiations." And the final thing to cover on this video, Impact Wrestling presents its weekly show tonight at 8 p.m. on Access TV or 8:30 p.m. if you're watching on YouTube Impact Insiders. Here is what they've got scheduled for the show. The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, will have an open challenge for a shot at his X Division Championship. In singles action, Ace Austin will face Tommy Dreamer, with the stipulation being that if Dreamer can defeat Austin, Dreamer will be added to the world title match against Christian Cage at Victory Road, making it a triple threat. Decay's Crazy Steve and Black Taurus will team up to take on Falaba and the former No Way Jose. Rohit Raju will team up with Shira, and they will take on Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green. That's tonight on Impact Wrestling. And with that, you are completely up to date on everything that's making headlines in the world of professional wrestling, minus anything which could potentially spoil future shows, storylines, angles, or say surprise debuts for you. I'm your host, Gentleman Ian, for Spoiler Free Wrestling.